Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to take a look into the case of Tillie Klimek, Polish-American serial killer based in Chicago. Tillie was a good girl gone bad. I'm just joking, she was just bad. She was a bad girl. So what was her favorite naughtiness? Was she ever caught? Was there justice? But first, let's start from the beginning. Tillie Klimek was born in 1876 in Poland. When she was 4 years old, she and her family moved to the US and settled in Little Poland in Chicago, Illinois. Some people stated Tillie had an ability to predict the date of death of people around her. What they didn't know was she was pretending. She wasn't predicting their deaths. She was actually scheduling them. Tillie married her first husband, John Mitkiewicz, circa 1890. And in 1914, she began telling her friends and neighbors she dreamt her husband was going to die within weeks. And he did. After a short illness, Tillie collected $1,000 in life insurance. She then married shortly after Joseph Ruskowski. And guess what? Tillie had a dream. Joseph was going to die. And in May 1914, he started to get sick and he died shortly after. Tillie collected $1,200 in cash and $722 in insurance. Tillie then had a boyfriend, Joseph Gruszkowski, but apparently he abandoned her and she wasn't happy. Then he and his sister, who liked candy, became extremely ill. He didn't survive. In March 1919, Tillie married Frank Joseph Kupchik. They lived in an apartment Tillie had lived before with a man named Myers, who surprisingly was missing. When Frank moved in, Tillie started telling neighbors he wouldn't last long. She had a dream, and she even made jokes about it. Frank became sick and grew weaker. She asked him to take out a life insurance policy, and he did. She then bought a coffin and kept it in the basement for Frank's future funeral. While he was still dying, Tillie made a hat with a black lace trim, and she told Frank she was going to wear it to his funeral. Frank died, and she celebrated. She then collected $675 of life insurance. But Tillie wasn't done there. No, she wasn't. Guess what happened next? Guess what she did? Tillie married again to an adventurous man. He had to. The girl had 3 dead husbands, and still he went on with it. His name was Joseph Klimek. He was rich, but according to Tillie, he drank too much, and he liked to look at other women too. Her cousin told her, get a divorce, but Tillie decided to get rid of him some other way, a creative way, her own way. So Tillie had Joseph take out a life insurance policy, and as weeks went by, Joseph got sick, but this time, Joseph actually called a doctor. When Joseph's doctors examined him at the hospital, they realized his symptoms were the same as of arsenic poisoning, and testing confirmed it. On October 27, 1922, Tillie Klimek was arrested at the hospital, and she actually said to one of the officers she wanted to cook dinner for him with her special ingredient, because he made trouble for her. After 18 hours of interrogation, she confessed and said she got the poison from her cousin Nellie. The poison was called rough on rats. It was rough on her husbands. While the investigation started, Tillie's husband's bodies were exhumed, and they found lethal doses of arsenic in their systems. They also exhumed the body of Nellie's husband. Tillie actually snitched on her cousin and said Nellie was tired of her husband, and he too had a lethal quantity of arsenic in his system. Nellie was arrested too. She was Tillie's accomplice. During investigation, investigators also discovered Nellie's twin children, Sophie and Ben, and her granddaughter Dorothy died of poisoning in 1917. Nellie's son, John, and daughter recovered from arsenic poisoning the same year. So my question is, what did they do so that woman would poison her own children? What did they do? Or what did she want? Also, two neighbors of Tillie, whom she had an argument, became gravely ill after eating candy which Tillie gave them. Tillie actually poisoned her dog because she didn't like him. 20 suspected victims, 14 of them died. This wasn't accidental. Victims were dropping like flies. They got bored, poison. They wanted revenge, poison. Money, poison. Tillie and Nellie were poison to people around them, even family. During trial, Tillie never showed fear. She wore the hat she knitted for her husband's Frank funeral. The prosecution read a list of 20 names and asked her, "Did you kill this person?" And her answer was, yeah. Even her children testified against her. Although they had evidence to convict her for 20 murders, in March 1923, Tillie was found guilty in the first-degree murder of Frank Kupchik. Tillie Klimek was sentenced to life in prison without parole, and it is said that if Tillie had been attractive, she would have been acquitted. Nellie's trial ended in a hung jury and she was acquitted. She actually spent a year in prison with Tillie and Tillie tormented her. She actually convinced Nellie she was going to be hanged. For me, Nellie was to Tillie as Starscream was to Megatron. Did you even watch Transformers? Let's put it this way. Nellie was a follower who liked naughty things too and get rid of people, but was abused by the mastermind of it all. And she deserved it. She killed her children, her husband, her granddaughter. She deserved it. So, it doesn't take brain surgery to realize the motive. The motive for the murders was life insurance money, and other victims, either they were tired of them or it was revenge. And I'm adding boredom. I'm adding boredom too. At the end, Tillie Klimek died in prison on November 20th, 1936. So my people, this is the story of Tillie Klimek. This woman wasn't just bad, she was evil, and her cousin Nellie wasn't very nice either. But it was obvious. Tillie called the shots, Nellie was a follower. And the trial was just a representation of how justice worked back then. I was actually surprised Nellie wasn't found guilty. When it came to men, Tillie married and killed, in my opinion.
That's my opinion!
They represent everybody who doesn't pay attention to what happens. If men are dropping like flies when they marry this girl, what the hell are you doing marrying her? And this happened to all of us. Not seeing red flags. Let me rephrase that. We do not want to see the red flag. And for them, death was a consequence. And to end this, don't forget to subscribe. Click the notification bell button. Thank you for watching. See you the next time. Stay safe.